All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first big trade of the NBA trade season. Technically second. James Harden did get traded this year, but I don't really count that. OG ANUNOBY has been traded to the New York Knicks. The Raptors, they've seen enough. They're done, and they are done, right? This is finally they're taking steps in the right direction, that direction being blowing this shit up, blowing this shit to smithereens. And it is possible, I'll say it is possible they hold on to Siakam. He's a free agent as well at the end of the season. It is possible that you want to build a team around Scotty Barnes. That's ultimately. Scotty Barnes has been tremendous. He was tremendous last night for them in the game that they played. They lost, but, I mean, he was still unbelievable. It's how can we build a team around Scotty Barnes? The reality was OG, Scotty, Pascal, a weird, strange fit. You need to get some shooters. You need to get some, this whole, hey, we'll just have lengthy guys who can, run around and do a million different things defensively, but offensively are kind of inept. We're cool with that. That's just not working in the modern NBA. All right, being pretty much dead last in three-point shooting every year, it's not working. Barely getting to the free throw line. That shit doesn't work in the modern NBA. Okay, you're playing a math game and you're losing it every single time. So you trade OG, who's a free agent at the end of the season, and in return, RJ Barrett, hey, Canadian, right? Maybe there's a little extra oomph for RJ. Emmanuel Quickly, that's a great get for them. That is a great get. They also get off of Precious Achiuwa, who has been terrible. Malachi Flynn, who's just, whatever, not a very good player. No first-round picks, which is interesting. So the Knicks still have a healthy amount of picks to move around, and they have, Evan Fournier's contract. I mean, the Knicks still have some room to maneuver here. It's not like they gave up everything. But this is interesting. This is interesting, and this is a decently sized return. I think people will see the non-first-round picks. I think we'll see, the non-first-round picks. People will see, no first-round picks getting moved and be like, oh, my God, what a terrible trade. I disagree. I think this is a good move. I really do. I'm not the highest on RJ Barrett, admittedly. But I do think Emmanuel Quickly is really good. And there was a lot of rumblings that the Knicks didn't want to pay him what he was going to get and that he was kind of available. That was something that was going around. And to flip him for OG ANUNOBY, and I'm assuming, guys, here's the breaking news we all came for. B-Dot. Seth Curry, illness, is questionable to play against Golden State Warriors. There's the breaking news that we all came here for. Getting the Pistons second and 24, which is almost like a first. Yeah, that'll be the first pick of the second round. And we've seen teams have gotten better at scouting and stuff like that. And those high second round picks can turn into legit players for you. If you know what you're looking for, right? If you know what you're looking for. So let's look at this from both sides, shall we? Let's look at this from both sides. The Knicks, you're basically upgrading RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett, who he is, jack of all trades, master of none, right? An okay defender, okay at best, maybe. Not that great of an athlete. Very inconsistent offensive player. Ultimately, a guy that I'm not really excited about paying $30 million a year for. And a guy who, while he has some flashes here and there, just never thought he was going to become what everyone thought he could become. Okay? I've been consistent on this forever with RJ. It's just, some guys are just consistently inconsistent, and I think that's who RJ Barrett is as a player, even though he's still young. But I don't see the physical tools and the skills that you see from guys who actually turn it on and develop it into real legitimate guys, right? Fuck. Hold on, I need to get my water. Oh, my bad. The ultimate disrespectful compliment, jack of all trades, master of none. That's who RJ Barrett is as a player. Jesus. Okay, so you're upgrading off of that to a legit incredible defensive player. The Knicks defense has not been very good, mainly since Mitchell Robinson went down. And that is, they're getting Precious Achiuwa in this trade. But that's something that they might need to look to upgrade. Because this trade to me is interesting because you lose Emmanuel quickly. Well, you might need to replace that, right? You might need to replace that. Emmanuel quickly spark off the bench. You know, he's been really solid for them. He's been really solid for them off the bench. They're going to have to figure out a way to replace that. And I think they also need more size too. But I also view this as maybe a long-term thing. I don't think you make this trade for the Knicks if you don't think you're bringing OG back. They also said Malachi Flynn was in the deal. Yeah. Listen, I know. Whenever I say you need to replace Emmanuel quickly, I'm saying that knowing Malachi Flynn's in the deal. Okay. But no offense to him. God bless the guy. So if you're the Raptors, you're changing your identity a little bit here. RJ Barrett, he still kind of fits the mold, right? He's a wing, a lengthy wing. Nowhere near the defender OG is, but in theory could maybe shoot a little bit. Emmanuel quickly gives you a guard who could start for you. I know he's been coming off the bench for the Knicks, but he could start for you right now. I think he'd play pretty well off of Scotty. Can play on ball, off ball, good defender. You're going to get the 31st pick in the draft this upcoming season. So essentially a first round pick. Raptors should flip RJ. So from the Knicks, I think both sides did well here actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because the Knicks, they don't tap into their, you know, treasure chest of picks. They still have some contracts to move around. So you could go out and still get maybe that star that you're chasing, while also getting OG, who now you have his bird rights, right? You could pay him in the offseason. And now you move forward with OG as an RJ Barrett replacement, an upgrade. Yeah, I like it. I like what I'm seeing. I gotta say, I like what I'm seeing. I see the vision. I see the vision for the Knicks. I see the vision. Contract details of the trade: to Toronto, RJ Barrett, Emmanuel quickly; to New York, OG ANUNOBY, and Precious Achiuwa. And of course, Malachi Flynn's also in that trade too, but the Mavs are cursed, not taking for at least 2 seasons. What a joke. This draft system is good for basketball. Why are we crying about the fucking Mavericks? Like, I already knew this was going to happen. Like, why are we crying about the Mavericks? I've already seen the Mavs couldn't have gotten in on this. No, they couldn't have. They couldn't have. Okay? They couldn't have. So, I'm interested now about this, right? There's a lot of different angles here. Did the Knicks see this as an opportunity for them to, you know, bring OG in for the rest of the season, obviously, but now this is more for the future. Like, this wasn't an all-in for this season trade. Like, we have OG ANUNOBY, we have his bird rights, we're going to bring him back in the offseason, now we have OG moving forward. That's what I think it is, more than them making, like, some all-in effort this season, right? For the Raptors, it's a nice little jump start to what could be maybe a mini rebuild. You bring in RJ Barrett, that's somebody who, you know, you can plug into your team now, or somebody you could keep shopping. I don't really know what RJ Barrett's market is. I would have to assume Emmanuel Quickly is like the big, right? I mean, Emmanuel Quickly is a bigger trade chip. Am I wrong? I can't be. RJ is Canadian, yes. I wonder if that factors into anything at all. I would assume not, but Quickly is a restricted free agent at the end of the season, so they could just match anything for him. So I really do like this trade for both sides. I got to be honest. I see the vision. think the Knicks did great. I mean, I've never been a big RJ Barrett fan. I love Emmanuel quickly, but from all reporting, it sounded like they didn't really want to pay him what he's probably going to get. So you trade him for OG. You don't give up any of your picks. You still have contracts to play around with. And now I wonder, New York Knicks new look team, Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo, OG, Julius Randle, Hartenstein. I mean, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Earlier this morning, I was doing research for the Power Rankings video that I'm not doing today. Bill Shids found his way to the playback. Breaking news, everyone. But I think it was, I forgot what the exact five was, but it was Brunson, I want to say DiVincenzo, Barrett, Julius Randle, and Isaiah Hartenstein had like a crazy net rating. But yeah, with Mitchell Robinson out, I think they still need to find some size at the deadline. And you are going to have to find somebody to replace quickly scoring punch off the bench. But again, they still have all the picks to play around with. They still have contracts, so they could still go out and make moves. Right? They could still do that. I thought it was bad for the Knicks at first because I thought draft considerations meant 1 or 2 first, but the only Pistons second is not that much. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised no first in this. Right? But again, OG's expiring and has not been that great this year. Although I don't know how much of that is the Raptors fucking stink, 1. 2, I'm sure OG deep down knew he was getting traded at some point. And I'm sure that messes with you. That's got to mess with you a little bit. But yeah, this is a good return though for the Raptors. I don't want to make it seem like the Raptors didn't get a lot. This is for an expiring player who is a pretty significant flight risk, I would think, for most interested parties. Like if you're Indiana's name kept getting brought up for OG. How confident are you that OG wants to stay? Because if you're not that confident, if you can't get a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge from his agent, you can't get a little wink, wink from the agent. They're like, hey, we're staying. What realistically are you wanting to give up? Feel like Randall might get traded? I really doubt it. So what's next? I'm interested now because I've sort of laughed at the idea that, NBA fans desperately want trades to happen all the time. And I'm like, the December trades like never happen. Granted, is this a December trade or a January trade? I know it's December 30th. December trades are very rare, but I'm wondering with the play-in, teams don't want to be in the play-in. If you're like a team that wants to be in the mix, you don't want to be in the play-in tournament. You want to solidify yourself as a playoff team. If maybe we see teams hit the trade market a little bit earlier this year than waiting until the deadline itself or the week of the deadline, just like mid-January, hey, we want this guy. Let's get serious. You know that you're fucking trading people away. We want this player. We don't want to wait another month. Like let's make it happen now. Let's make it happen now. We want to solidify ourselves. We want to solidify ourselves as a top 4 seed or whatever. There's 2 games between us and the play-in. Let's not fuck around. We want to make a trade happen. Let's do it. Seems like every team is looking for big depth. Knicks still need a better big. Hartenstein isn't the answer this season. I expect them to keep dealing. Who are the bigs on the market? I think Hartenstein actually could be fine for you, honestly. As a starter, I think you could do worse as your sort of emergency starter since Mitchell Robinson went down. But yeah, they're going to have to find another big at some point. Most important thing about the trade is Detroit wins against the Raptors today. That's actually true. That is a good point. The Raptors do play the Pistons tonight. And a lot of people already had circled that one. A lot of people have already circled that one, but that is pretty funny. Does this really improve the Knicks that much, though? I think so, yes. I think so. I think ultimately still in the end, they need a legit 1A or 1B if they want to be real championship contenders. Just a go-to guy in the clutch that you can count on with some consistency. Brunson's great in that role. He really is. But Becky Hammond wasn't wrong, man. He's short. It doesn't happen that much in the NBA. And also, if you want to be a real legitimate contender, you need like a top 5, top 7, top 8, top 10 player. And Brunson's just not that. You know, he just isn't. But yeah, they get a legit wing defender in OG. Pair alongside. You know, if you're going to have a small player in the backcourt, you need good defensive players around him. And now you have OG. Julius Randle, when he's locked in, is really not a bad defender. Mitchell Robinson was like a all defensive level before he got hurt. Warriors fans begging for Siakam right now. Yeah, so what's next for the Raptors? They committed. I got to give them props. I think they got a decent return. And I think you could have gotten worse than this. Because you get two like pretty young guys that could either be in your plans long term, or, you know, you could probably flip RJ. You have like a tradable contract on RJ Barrett if you want to make moves. And Emmanuel Quickley is a guy I think that you plug in for them, especially. I mean, is Quickley good enough to build around in what capacity? Like, he's not like your centerpiece, but he's good enough to plug in. He's good enough to have in your long-term plans, especially for a team that has no fucking guards. Would you have liked watching the Mavs if they tanked with a top 10 pick like OKC to assure their future? What are we talking about in the chat? Like, can we focus? Like, I promise you guys, every stream doesn't have to dive like every stream doesn't have to turn into oh hey, like the Mavericks, fuck the Mavericks. We don't have to do that every single stream. If OG is gone, Siakam must be traded, honestly. You would think. You would think. Leon Rose's son is OG ANUNOBY's agent. There you go. You're talking to obsessed fans who watch a guy talk. As soon as something happens, what do you expect? I mean, but we're not even talking about the Mavericks. Like, we're not even talking. Like, I would kind of understand if we're talking about, like, certain angles. Like, oh, okay, how does this affect the Mavericks? Could the Mavericks have done this trade? Could the Mavericks have done X, Y, and Z? Like, what are the Mavericks? How does this affect the Mavericks in any way? But, like, you're asking me about the Mavericks tanking games like the Thunder. I don't understand. Why are you streaming on this platform? Because I like it. And I don't want to clutter up the main channel's feed too much. Seriously, the Mavs could have done this with picks. Yeah, but I mean, could they have? I mean, what do you do to make the contracts work? What do you do to make the contracts work? One, I'm sure the Raptors wanted a young player. Who are the Mavericks throwing in there? And two, like, you want a bunch of picks involved for OG? I don't know if OG is what pushes the. I mean, OG would be great for the Mavs, but. Knicks didn't want to play Quickly this summer, so they traded him plus RJ for an expiring ANUNOBY, who will be even more expensive this summer. They must really, really like OG. Yeah, they've apparently wanted OG for a long time. And it's weird. The Quickly stuff has always been strange to me. All the reports that are like, yeah, the Knicks do not want him. The Knicks are not paying him. Yeah, look out. Quickly might get traded. The Knicks don't want his ass. Like, that's basically what it sounds like. And I'm just like, what's the deal there? Like, what? I don't understand. What's the deal? How do people sleep on Goga Batadze? He was unemployed. Mosley did a wonderful job with him. Coaching matters so much. Yeah, Goga's been really good. Goga's been great. Okay. I actually thought there's a trade that kind of makes sense in my brain now that I didn't think would make sense anymore, and I've started to ramp up the trade stuff, and now I'm starting to really get into it, especially after this. But I was thinking about this morning. Here's Shams just tweeted the full package. Here's the Raptors trade OG ANUNOBY, Precious Achiuwa, and Malachi Flynn to the Knicks in exchange for RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and 1 second-round pick. The initial reaction from everyone hates the trade. Really? We'll check some subreddits here in a second. Oh my god, there's a Twitter thread going around. Oh no. I've had some rough years with the Knicks, but I don't know if I could stand losing 27 straight. Would be finding a new sport. Would rather lose 27 straight than have RJ Barrett on my team. This is a Raptors fan. Oh. Okay. I see a lot of people mad saying OG is overrated. Yeah, but was the idea of trading like the 3rd overall pick for OG a little crazy? Yeah. Was the idea of trading 4 or 5 first-round picks for OG a little bit crazy? Yeah, but the Knicks, this is fair, I think. You're not going to trade. You don't want to pay Emmanuel quickly. You're comfortable paying OG. And RJ is RJ. You know, he is who he is. He's like, I don't know, a top 130 player in the league. Like, who could fluctuate between being like a top 70 player in the league and then like a top 150 player in the league. Like, you know, he's just a dude who's making a lot of money. Where was I going before I went off on a fucking tangent? Oh, okay. I think a framework. I think a trade could make some sense. I think the framework of a trade can make some sense. There's an avenue, a pathway for a Magic Mavericks trade that does kind of make sense. That trade being with Goga's sort of ascension, and I don't know, Wendell Carter Jr. missed a lot of time this season, and just straight up, Goga's been better than him. And the Magic have a clear, desperate need for shooting. I wonder if there's a Tim Hardaway for Wendell Carter framework that could make sense. I wonder if something could be there. Where the Mavericks get a center who could come off the bench for them. Could even honestly be a guy that maybe you start alongside Lively in certain matchups. Yeah, Wendell has been kind of ass this year, but he's also been hurt. The Magic get like a legit shooter. I wonder if something could be there. So anyway, sorry, that was off a tangent. Let's look at some subreddits. Could Wendell start the 5? He can shoot and is super versatile on defense. Him and Lively long term would be crazy if they work together. I think some matchups. I don't think you would love to tap into that very frequently, but I thought of that at the beginning of the year, but dismissed it because I thought Wendell's too valuable. Is really that down bad? Yeah, I pretty much laughed at anybody throwing mock Wendell trades in my face because I'd just be like, dude, he's on like one of the best contracts in the league. However, he has been kind of not great coming off the injury, and like Goga's just been better. He's just been better. Just straight up, I before this just gets out of control, I don't think the Mavericks could have made this trade. I'm happy they didn't make a trade like this. They just couldn't do it. Let's see what Raptors fans are saying. Why did the Pacers not manage with Goga? I mean, Goga's bounced around the league. Like this has been kind of a remarkable turn of events for him. Where are all the haters at now? Yeah, Precious has been horrible. He's been fucking terrible. I don't know, maybe a change of scenery thing, but I wouldn't be too excited about getting Precious Achiuwa. I've had some Mavericks fans ask me about him. I'm just like, no thanks. I just don't. Every fan base does this when a big trade happens. They say, what the fuck? Didn't we make this move? Yeah, I mean, true. At this point, with the Warriors, our Mavs say yes to Wiggins plus Looney for Tim Hardaway Jr., Hardy, Holmes, or Maxey, and maybe they add the seconds. I'm worried about Looney. He looks slow in like a scary way. I don't know who would say yes or no to that. I'd have to think about it. The Raptors fans seem very excited about this. What are the Raptors doing, though? I don't see the vision. They're blowing it up, man. Their team sucks. They stink. They're terrible. It's over for them. There's no real legitimate pathway. There's no real legitimate pathway for them to succeed with what they have. OG's a free agent at the end of the season. Siakam's a free agent at the end of the season. They just lost Fred VanVleet for nothing when everyone was saying, please trade him. Please trade some of these guys. You're going to lose them for nothing. Your team sucks. And what do? Boom. They flip OG for RJ Barrett, who's under contract and young and has done some things. Emmanuel Quickly, who I like a lot. But I kind of like this trade. It seems like Raptors fans are pretty happy about this as well. Seems like Raptors fans are pretty excited. This feels like a rare. Usually when a team is selling. Usually when a team is selling and they give up a legit good player, one side is going to be upset. Either the team that trades for that player is going to be like, holy fuck, we gave up a lot. Their fan base is going to be like, holy shit, that's a lot. Or the team getting the player in returns like, oh, wow. Or the team trading the players like, wow, we did not get that much. Did the Raptors get the Mavericks 2024 pick? No, there was no first round picks. No first round picks. Messiah apology thread. Do you get an apology thread? Do you get an apology thread? I don't think you get an apology thread for this shit show that's transpired. I think they should flip RJ for more picks or younger talent. I don't think he's good enough to build around. I don't know what you could get trying to flip RJ, to be honest with you. Quickly's a real steal to trade. A decent portion of Knicks fan base are pretty happy to have RJ gone. He doesn't show up when it counts. Yeah, this is funny to me. I've already seen multiple Raptors fans. Well, luckily, he'll be the third or fourth option for us. He's been the third or fourth option for the Knicks. I'm interested to see how, because I feel like Knicks fandoms, from what I could see, I would say about half of them were like done with RJ. Like, this guy, we should trade him. Like, if we could extract something of value out of it, we need to trade him before it becomes too late. And then the other half was like, no, Star J, like, he's gonna be good. Hold on, hold steady. I wonder if that flips now. All right, let's see what Knicks fans are saying. Heartbroken about Quickly. I would love to ask a Knicks fan, like, what's the deal with Quickly? I've never understood that. I have not understood why they're just so unwilling to pay him. I don't understand it. Is it just like they know that he'll always be, as long as Brunson's there, they know that he'll always probably be coming off the bench and they don't want to pay like a sixth man? Because it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Could Precious be rerouted to Dallas? I did talk about that. What I said was Precious absolutely fucking stinks. So that's about it. Yeah, this is a good point. They need another guard desperately. Boucher, I mean, he's not very good either. This trade was nothing more than a salary dump. No way. They're keeping OG. I don't think you make this trade if you don't think you're keeping OG, honestly. That's usually how these trades work. How often does a trade actually end up being a rental? Like, can we think of any high profile mid-season trades for like expirings that end up being rentals? Can we think of any off the top of our head? See what I mean? Knicks fans are sick. OG ANUNOBY is not even mid-season. Kawhi is a different story. Rondo? Okay, that's a good one. OG ANUNOBY's not even that good. This man is the safe answer every season of who everyone thinks is going to break out, but it never happens. This is pathetic. I'm so mad. Teams are smart now. I don't think teams go out of their way to make like big trades for expiring players if they don't think that that expiring player is staying. You see it for like role guys, but this is exactly what I was saying. I was wondering if the 50% of Knicks fans who are like, guys, RJ's going to break out. It's going to happen. I promise. It will happen at some point. I wonder if that 50% is like, all right, guys, thank God he's gone. We can just be honest now. He's not very good. Okay. RJ Hive, time to be honest now that he's gone. He was a bust. Admit it. Swallow your pride. 5 seasons still doing the same stupid ass shit game after game. Okay, he's getting shit on. What an embarrassing thing to post. Okay, he's getting laughed at. He's getting laughed out of the room. Damn, man. Map trade for expiring Christian Wood. I'm mainly talking about in season. Off season's different. Off season is different. OG's not been that good this season. He hasn't been that great, but I do wonder how much of that is weird trade thing. Mavs could get involved in a 3-team trade. Guys, I'm telling you right now, it's not happening. Involving Siakam to Golden State Warriors and Mavs get Wiggins and Moody. Okay, this is a completely different trade. Maybe. We'll see. I watched tons of Raptors game, and OG is as advertised on offense. Is as advertised on defense, but people don't know how unbelievably inconsistent he is on offense. Yeah, no, that's true. I've always thought that OG was never going to blossom into the player that people thought he could offensively. But yes, defensively, he's a fucking menace. Raptor sub is extremely happy these dudes are off the team. For what it's worth, they're heartbroken over ANUNOBY. Yeah, this is kind of how I feel too. I think the Knicks still have a pretty sizable move to make. I don't know if they make that during this season or if it's in the offseason or what, but it's a pretty good trade for the Knicks. RJ wasn't cutting it, and IQ was never going to be in the starting lineup. Yes, we are currently stretched thin, but why do you think we've been stashing out those draft picks? It's not like we can't find more players through the draft. Yeah, I mean, this is a long-term move too. It's easy to like get so lost. Here's the harsh reality for NBA fans, right? Because NBA fans, we all have 2K brain, where we can make a million different moves and be good immediately. And it's hard because you go through the day-by-day process of being a fan, and it's watching every game, and it's keeping up, listening to the podcasts and reading the articles. It's difficult to try and see a long-term vision, especially when you're good, when your team's good. It's different when your team's tanking. When your team's good, and they're kind of maybe hinting or telling you, like, hey, we're good. We don't know if we can compete for a title this year, but we're setting ourselves up for the years down the road. That's hard for a fan to process. It's hard to see the vision. They're trying to tell us the Mavericks fans, because I think that's what's happening for the Mavs. They told you in the offseason, hey, we're getting younger. We're trying to see how we can build this thing long-term with Luka instead of trying to sacrifice the future for, right now. Who do you think is going to be the biggest name traded at the deadline now and most surprising name that you predict will be dealt? Ooh. Just off the top of my noggin, I kind of feel like it's not going to be that juicy of a trade deadline. Like, would it be that shocking if OG is like the most high-profile player to be traded between now and the trade deadline? It probably won't work out that way. But I mean, OG, I think, is more high profile than Caruso, right? Siakam's probably the one. I don't think they're going to, I don't think the Jazz are going to trade Markkanen. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. But you know what? I was going to say this in my Power Rankings video. I'm going to do a Power Rankings video tomorrow now after this. But if I'm the Thunder, I'm fucking breaking down the door of the Jazz facility. I'm saying, what do you want from Markkanen? We have 20,000 picks. We have good, talented young players who will probably never see the rotation for us. What do you want from Markkanen? Like, there's what's the price? What is your can't say no offer? We'll do it right now. That team can win a championship this year. They could. SGA? Yeah, they probably would. At the same time, West is really competitive, so I can see any number of teams feeling one move can make the difference. Tim Cato said that Mavs team doctors didn't expect Kai to be out this long. Well, 26 is still young. And they're ready to go. They are ready to go. The Thunder are ready to go. What did your tweet mean about NBA fans undervaluing offensive engines? Okay. I see this all the time, especially in like MVP arguments. People, you really have to watch the games to understand what guys are doing offensively. Okay. Now let's just use one example, and this is and you guys know I love Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Absolutely love him. My favorite non-Maverick in the NBA. He's tremendous. Absolutely tremendous. I kept seeing people saying stuff along the lines of like, oh, well, Shai's pretty close to Luka offensively, but much better defensively. Is Shai much better than Luka defensively? Yeah, he is. Okay. But I think NBA fans too often, they see the points per game might be close, 33 points per game to 30 or whatever it is, and think, oh, those players are close. Those players are close. Those players are close to each other. That player almost does what this player does offensively without fully understanding what they're saying. Right? Well, so the offensive engine is just another word for ball hog. No, it's not. No, it isn't. No, it is not. When I say offensive engine, I think Luka. I think Jokic. You have to watch the games to truly understand how those players run an offense well beyond just the stats. And yeah, they put up insane stats, but LeBron, of course, those guys put up insane stats, but you watch the game, you see, the entire offense is them. They generate so much attention. They generate so many great looks for themselves and for their teammates, right? You could just put the ball in their hands and you're good. You're good. You don't really need to do much besides that. Whereas you watch the Thunder play, they run a beautiful offense, and Shea fits into that offense incredibly well, and he's incredibly talented, and he's great. So, like, saying they're close offensively, I very much disagree. Like, I think Luka and Jokic are on their own planet entirely offensively, just because of how unbelievable they are as playmakers and creators for others. I don't think Jokic is as much of an offensive engine as Luka because he doesn't ball handle. No. Their entire offense runs through him. He's the hub. I'm not saying like these guys dribble the ball a bunch and then pass. Like I'm saying like the offense is built around them. It's built around them creating for others and doing things for others. The difference is coaching for other players. You can say it without Luka. There is no offense. Well, yeah, but they built their team that way because Luka is that good. Like, people shit on Kidd and stuff all the time for this. Dude, Carlisle had this team built that way, too. Rick Carlisle is widely considered one of the greatest coaches ever, one of the greatest offensive minds in the history of the sport. And he saw, hey, the offense is just better when you just give the ball to fucking Luka. And maybe you run a few actions here and there, but ultimately just get the ball to Luka, high pick and roll, something great's going to happen more often than not. That's what I'm saying. You can't, like, comparing the points per game doesn't always tell you the full story. Like, people saying, oh, well, Shea's close to Luka offensively. No, he is fucking not. Do you think Shea could do what Luka is doing currently in the Mavericks offense? Of course he can't. He can't do it. That's an insane ask of anybody. Now, it's not saying Shea sucks, but it is ridiculous to think they're close offensively. Ridiculous. Same thing with Tatum close to Luka offensively. Yes, that's a ridiculous thing to think. Shea doesn't need to. He has talented teammates. Yeah, and I mean, that's the point. Shea plays in a great offensive system, a well-coached team with a lot of really good players who are smart ball handlers. They're smart decision makers. They can put the ball on the floor, right? The only thing they're really lacking is more like legit shooting. Right, it's just levels. There's just levels to it. Once Luke had 50 and 15 and the entire conversation was about the Suns, I just gave up expecting people to give Luke any credit. Yeah, I mean, some of this shit's just crazy, honestly. I really don't get it. That's my point. Having Luka as an excuse to not get better players and coaches, Denver didn't make that mistake. I will say, before the championship run, Nuggets fans hated Michael Malone. Not all of them, but there was a pretty sizable sect of fans who did not like Michael Malone. Everyone always thinks their coaches suck. But yes, the Mavericks roster building's been bad. They did think that they could just get, all right, we just need to catch and shoot guys next to Luka and we'll be fine. They're always a step behind, it feels like. They're always a step behind. They're always a step behind in their roster construction. When they went small ball, it was kind of obvious that the small ball was on its way out. When they like fully committed to small ball, then they said, you know what, let's just stick catch and shoot guys, very one-dimensional offensive players next to Luka, because that's, he can generate for themselves. And it was clear and obvious the league was moving towards, well, actually, it's way better just to have a bunch of guys who can put the ball on the floor and drive. Guys who can just drive. That's what we want. That's the new thing. We're building a team around non-one-dimensional players. Because our defensive schemes have gotten so smart that we can just straight up scheme certain guys out of your offense entirely. How about Omax and Hardy for Caruso and Drummond? I'm really like hesitant to trade Omax. Um, sure. Toronto is expected to continue to explore trades involving Pascal Siakam. This will be an interesting one to watch play out because Siakam is like pretty open that he wants to stay. Like Siakam is pretty open and adamant that he wants to stay. So I'm interested to see how this plays out for them. And I'm interested, like, what is Siakam going to go for? Who's a better trade asset, OG or Siakam? Both expiring. OG's younger. Siakam's 30. You're going to have to pay both. I think Siakam is like a legit flight risk. I think the Knicks are very comfortable OG staying, but I think Siakam goes to the Hawks. I don't. I do not think the Hawks are going to make any buying moves. Unless they think they can keep Siakam, which, okay, maybe. DeJounte for Siakam, is that trade back on the table? I mean, that was talked about in the summer. The Raptors just completely changed their identity. All right, we need guards. Stop fucking around. Like, let's get legit guards here. I've heard numerous media people on podcasts say that OG would cost way more than Siakam for a team to get. Golden State's an interesting one for Siakam. Dallas is an interesting one for Siakam. Indiana, obviously, they get talked about all the time. Philadelphia is an interesting one. I mean, there's a Tobias Harrison picks. The Raptors just get some picks. An expiring contract. I mean, that makes sense. Does Pascal actually help Mavericks on-ball defense first wing? Yeah, I think so. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm standing on business that I don't think the Mavericks are going to be that busy this trade deadline. I don't. I think they wait and see what they got. Again, they signal to you in the offseason. We want to, hey, this is going to be a process a little bit. We're gonna take 2 guys in the draft. Everyone we get in free agency outside of Seth Curry is going to be young. Like Dante Exum is still like relatively young. He's a player who, if he works out and he has worked out, you could foresee on your team for 5-6 years. Derrick Jones Jr. young. Grant Williams young still. We could have traded a pick for. We could have traded the 10th overall pick for a win now player in a desperation trade. Oh, Dante's 28? Okay, I thought it'd be younger than that. I thought it was like 26 for some reason. Okay, never mind about Dante, but still, even then, he was a flyer. And it has paid off. Would you build around Trey or DeJounte? Most certainly Trey. Most certainly Trey. That should never even be a conversation. So people are completely out on Grant Williams. I mean, dude, he's in a slump. It is what it is. He needs to play better. He'll be fine. Trust the process. Because he's been asked? Who's been asked? Oh, Grant Williams, yeah. This is just, I can't believe we got a trade this early, man. Again, trades usually don't happen this quick. I wouldn't expect, anytime one trade happens, people are like, here we go. Here we go. Here come all the other trades. It'll probably be a while before we see another trade. To be fair, though, I did say I didn't think we'd get a trade in December. We just got a pretty big one. Katie getting traded to the Detroit Pistons. I'm mainly just shocked that they actually went for it. Why did it happen now? Price would have gone up closer to the deadline. Would it have? Do you expect us to make a move around the margins or a big swing? Mavs, margins. I really don't think they're making a swing. I really don't. I don't, unless something else happens. Because, going into the season, did you really think, I mean, we all thought the Raptors would blow it up, but did you really think that, like, the Hawks would all of a sudden become a team you look at and you're like, whoa, but like, who on the Hawks could we get? No, you didn't think that. But here we are. Like, let's see in a month and a half. But I think you're going to get along the margins move. I really do. I don't. Nothing really jumps out to me that makes a lot of sense. The Kyrie trade made sense last year. Once the rumors started popping up, it was like, oh, this makes sense for the Mavericks, and there's a pathway for it to happen. Fella Hunter, DeJounte, all trash. I don't want any Hawks players. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. I definitely don't want DeJounte. If my team traded for DeJounte, I'd be very wary of it. I'd be very. There's maybe a handful of teams where it's like, okay, kind of interesting. But I really, 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 you guys know, I don't know how I feel about DeJounte Murray as a player. I don't know what his role is, where he fits in on like a team trying to win. But like again, Wiggins might be available. Draymond might be available. Nobody thought that would happen going into the season. So a lot can happen between now and the trade deadline. There was a tweet a couple days ago that this is going to be like a big time. There's a lot of buyers and not a lot of sellers. Some teams might see that and be like, this is our chance to get some, like, we don't think we're going to be that good. There's not a lot of sellers. We could enter the market as a seller and maybe get more returns on players than we thought we would. Fuck, no, please, the Klay Thompson, no. DeJounte's just a weird player. Like, his defense is vastly overrated. He's like the Hassan Whiteside of guards. His steal numbers are cool, and you see that, and you're like, oh, this guy's like a great defender. Then you watch the games, and his back's turned to the fucking play every other time. He's gambling and passing lanes, and his guy's wide open in the corner because for some reason he's at the elbow trying to jump a pass that never happens. And, a 7th grade B team point guard, which I was, 7th grade B team point guard can make this skip pass to the corner. Like, it's the easiest thing in the world. Hey, we rely on stock numbers for Luka's defensive argument. Yeah, but like, DeJounte gets talked about like an all NBA level defender at times. Like that's who DeJounte gets talked about as. Like, oh, well, yeah, but he's going to be a great guard defender for you. And it's like, no, he's really not. He is an all defensive player in his career, by the way. But like Luka, everyone's like, yeah, well, he's much more active defensively now this year. So that's good. Like, DeJounte's probably just a middle-of-the-road defender. Luka only gambles when he is not trying to play defense. If you pay attention. Maybe the Spurs might trade Wemby. Yeah, maybe. Guys, yeah, maybe Wemby's on the market. What? Is this real? The Baltimore Ravens will honor Ray Rice on Sunday. Are you serious? You should do the target run challenge. That would actually be really funny. DeJounte Murray has the Wesley Matthews treatment. Everyone tells you he's a great defender, but I don't see it. Wesley Matthews before his Achilles tear was a legit great defender, but once he fucked his Achilles up, it was bad. Sally, can I be invited to a Locked On Mavs episode? I don't think it works like that. It's not my show. I also see a lot of people excited about a possible Wiggins trade for us, and not gonna lie, Wiggins would be so frustrating to watch. I think he actually covers up a lot of things the Mavs need. Could be a change of scenery type of thing. I don't know. There's definitely some risk involved there, but that's kind of the trades that the Mavericks. That's kind of the trades that the Mavericks are in a position to make. These sort of kind of risky. Kind of risky moves. I'm pretty high on Omax, yeah. Great defenders in the modern era is kind of different too. On-ball defense is less valuable, and it's more about getting in passing lanes and being good and help. Yeah, it's really about being a good team defender. Team defense matters way more than individual defense at this point in time. Individual defense is still important though, but like you don't want to get killed one-on-one every single time. And now your defense is rotating, and your rim protectors and your help defenders are all out of sorts because you just get beat one-on-one every single time. Like you don't want that, but thought losing Isaac Harrisman podcast would die, but thought you've been amazing, man. Oh, I appreciate that. I get I'm not everybody's cup of tea. Mavs need to get healthy. I know it's obvious, but it's so huge what this team is. I mean, yeah, they got to get fucking healthy, dude. I think I said they've lost 5 of their last 7. It doesn't feel like that. Because I think in our minds, we're like, oh, they're just hurt. They really need guys back. And, 2 of those 5 games were just complete and total punts with this Timberwolves game and that Rockets game. I'm so glad this was an actual trade instead of rumors, so we didn't have to have conversations of the Mavericks jumping as a third team. Yeah, could they swoop in and get Precious? Could they swoop in? I always love could they swoop in and get like Isaiah Hartenstein in this? It's like, why the fuck would the Knicks trade him? Why the fuck would the Knicks trade him? Make it make sense. Make it make sense. I really think, honestly, Tim Hardaway Jr. for Wendell Carter Jr. makes some sense in my brain. Like, what's Tim's value across the league? Are the Mavericks having to add stuff into that? Like, are they having to add, like, maybe a pick? Because I don't know. I think I draw the line right there. Like, some seconds. Yeah, Wendell's a pretty solid defender. I don't think Tim's a negative asset. I really don't. I think you could get a team desperate for shooting. I think you could. I don't think you're getting, like, multiple firsts for him. But I think if you add him into a deal, he's, like, a part of the deal. He's not like oh, fuck. Like, this is basically a negative part of the deal. I think, yeah, and, like, a world where you turn salary caps off, I think you could get, like, a late first from a contending team or something like that for Tim. I'd throw in a first for Isaac and Wendell Carter Jr. Like, it makes sense to me in my head. A shooter for the Magic who desperately need a shooter, like a legit shooter too. Not like this guy, like, 3.5 threes a game, 38%. Like, if his volume goes up, like, we could be cooking with something. No, you're getting like a legit volume 3-point shooter who's really good. I'd have to ask. I do have some Magic fans who are friends. I would have to ask them what they feel like. Do we think Lively has a good game against the Warriors? I hope so. It shapes up to be a good matchup for him. Been a rough couple games for him. Mavs just need a win tonight. Hopefully Luka plays. Kyrie upgraded to doubtful, so there's that. Kyrie upgraded to doubtful. If Looney plays, it's up for Lively. No, I think Looney's still small. Lively could handle that, I think. I would love Kuminga on the Mavs. What up, Wopo? All right, guys, I need to cook. I'm hungry. It's lunchtime. Who let him cook? I'll be live on YouTube later. If you missed like part of the stream, I'll post it to the Slightly Biased Clips channel. We'll be live for the Mavericks game tonight, obviously. I wanted to do my plan was to record a cooking channel. My plan was to do a power rankings video today, but this kind of threw it off. So I guess I'll have to do that tomorrow.